Welcome to MG Warriors. I'm Chris.
I'm an artist, actor, and entrepreneur from Baltimore, Maryland.
And this is my journey living with Myasthenia Gravis. I'll be sharing the ups, the downs, the treatments I've tried, and the lessons I learned along the way. If you or someone you love is facing MG, just know you're not alone. We're in this together. Let's fight smart, strong, and live better.
So last year I opened up about my journey with a rare neurological disease called Myasthenia Gravis. And the response was huge. So many people responding, so many warriors just like me who felt unheard, unseen, or just misunderstood. I realized then that there was a lack of community and awareness around MG. In fact, people in my circle didn't even realize or know what MG was until I was diagnosed and shared with them. So let's start from the beginning, with the moment that changed everything, 2014. So first I started noticing I was getting dizzy and kind of have a double vision. So I started to feel kind of delirious when walking around, not able to walk straight and losing my balance. And then eventually I started to see two of everything. So one at the bottom of my left eye and one at the same thing at the top of my right eye. So instead of seeing things like this, I was seeing things like this, and sometimes like this. And I noticed that as I was driving, I would see two cars of the same car driving in front of me. And that's when I realized there's a problem. There was another time, the time when I really knew something was wrong. Well, actually, this is when it began. It started here. I was at a party, we were drinking. I was feeling the drinks, but I was feeling dizzy, and I was trying to figure out why I was getting so dizzy from the drink. I only had like two drinks maybe, and I was getting kind of dizzy, and I was like, what's going on? I was like, am I this I'm lightweight now? So I couldn't figure out what was going on, and then the next day, I went to Florida on vacation with my family, and the entire time I was feeling dizzy, and I was like, I'm not drinking any alcohol, I'm not doing anything. I just couldn't. For some reason, I just felt very dizzy, and I felt like my equilibrium was off a little bit, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I went to a patient first to see what was going on. They thought that I had vertigo, so they gave me medicine for vertigo. They gave me the medicine that did nothing. A couple of days later, as my eyesight was getting worse, and I started seeing multiple cars while driving. That's when I was like, all right, I need to go to see an actual doctor. So I went to an eye doctor. The eye doctor, they saw that my eyeball was off. So then they gave me prescribed me some glasses with a prism inside of the glasses so that to correct my vision, at least while I'm driving. So that wasn't really doing anything to help me or fix anything. It was just temporarily correcting my vision. So fast forward, I finally go to see a neurologist about this because it's gone too far. The neurologist then does a series of tests and then diagnoses me with myasthenia gravis. After also doing blood work and doing a few more things, they realized that I had myasthenia gravis. It was called ocular type. So only my eyeball was affected at the time. So the eyelid was drooping, and my eye was slightly looking off this way, while this one looked this way. Hence why I had the double vision. So basically, myasthenia gravis is a disease where the body is attacking your acetylcholine receptors. The acetylcholine receptors are what helps you trigger your muscles. So basically what's happening is the message is going from the brain to the acetylcholine receptors to tell the arm to do this. However, myasthenia gravis is blocking that transmission. So as the message goes to the receptor, myasthenia gravis blocks that message, so then the muscle is not able to move. So then what happens is the muscle begins to become lethargic, and then you start to lose muscle mass around that muscle that can no longer move. So it started in my eyes. Some people have it affecting other parts of their body, but it started in my eyes first. So once I was diagnosed, they wanted to prescribe me a few different medications. One was pyrostigmine that actually helps prevent the eyelid droop. So my eyelid was drooping so low that if you can imagine only seeing half of what you can see. So imagine a widescreen television, just bring that screen down so you only see half. So I was only seeing half of everything out of one eye. So the pyrostigmine helped that. And then they also prescribed me prednisone, which is a steroid. And the prednisone was to help the eye muscle. So there's 6 muscles in the eye. And what was happening is 1 or 2 of them was getting weak. So the other muscles was pulling the eye to a certain direction. So what needed to happen was the prednisone needed to strengthen all the muscles in my eye so that the eye would sit straight and not be pulled in one direction or the other. So what was crazy was my neurologist gave me a lot of information on myasthenia gravis, on the prognosis, on the medication I need to take, but they never told me that it was a permanent disease. So I'm going around thinking that this is something that I can just, I take the medicine, it goes away. I'm treating it like it's like an infection. Like, oh, I just didn't take this medication and it's gone after so many years. So I didn't take it seriously. And because of that, there are times when I fell off the medication and got back on the medication and did some things that I shouldn't have done. But I just thought it was really alarming that I was never told that by the doctor or the neurologist, and I had to actually confront the neurologist. But I just was really frustrated with the fact that they couldn't find a way to tell me that what I had was permanent. So that was kind of frustrating. So I do encourage people to ask as many questions as you can when you're with your doctor, because they won't tell you everything. Sometimes they don't want to tell you anything because out of the emotional state that they may be in, or they think that you might be in when telling you, that they might make you depressed or make you sad. I'm a very cut and dry person. I'm like, just tell me what I have so we can figure out what I need to do next. So yeah. Because I didn't even know it was a permanent disease, I was in denial that I had issues. And then once I found out it was a permanent disease, I was still in denial because I was like, no way I have this disease. There's no way that I have these issues, because when they told me about it, usually this is a disease that affects the older population. And I was in my early 20s when I got it. So I just couldn't believe that it was me, that I was the one that had a disease like this. So for the longest time, I did not want to believe it, and I didn't act like it. I would still go out and do things like drink and then take the medication, which was not a good idea. And I also started to notice that I started getting mood swings from the prednisone. My emotional state would fluctuate ridiculously, especially if I missed my medication. And see, because I didn't take it seriously and I was in denial, I missed my medication quite often. So especially if I was traveling or going somewhere, I wouldn't stay on top of it. You also need to eat food with it. So like you had to make sure you paired it with food. So it was just a lot for me to try to handle and deal with at the time. And due to that, I experienced ridiculous mood swings of being sometimes very happy, sometimes extremely angry for no reason, having to realize what was going on, sometimes being depressed. And it was very frustrating because I didn't know what was causing it. It took me a while to realize I was the culprit, because I was not taking my medication and not staying on top of what I needed to stay on. So during this time, because I was still trying to go out and party. I was drinking excessively. I was smoking weed. But in the process, I started realizing that cannabis actually helped my eye. So there would be a lot of pressure on my eye a lot of times, and that was usually from the muscle aching or throbbing. And I noticed that if I consumed cannabis, that it would reduce the inflammation, it would reduce the pain, the swelling that I had around my eye. However, the issue was I took that a bit too far. So I went from using it for medicinal purposes to then using it all the time and abusing it. And then you go on the other side of that, when you abuse it so much, sometimes you don't know when something is wrong, because I'm feeling numb. So I may not know that I'm having a flare up. That maybe my muscles getting weaker, maybe it's getting stronger, but I wasn't really able to tell because I was always high. So that was a big thing for me as well. Having to regulate the amount of cannabis I intake, having to reduce the amount of alcohol I drank, really having to live a clean life. And honestly, I joke around about this. Like, I really feel as though God used this to help me become a better steward over my body and become more disciplined when it came to intoxicating drinks or smoking weed, whatever it is. Just basically giving me a new sense of being healthy and keeping my temple clean and healthy. So that was a big thing.
Thanks for watching today's episode. Remember, every day with MG is a battle, but we're more than conquerors through Christ, so we'll always win. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who needs encouragement, and please don't forget to subscribe so you can see more videos. Until next time, stay strong, prayed up, and keep fighting like a warrior.